And thank you. We've come to the end of the session. Can we give our panelists a round of applause? Thank you very much. Don't go. We don't know if there are any questions, clarifications, contributions. I've already seen Udochi's hand is already up. Oh, a couple of hands are up already. How many? Did you reduce our time originally? It's just an innocent question.
Okay. I'm trying to.
I think we can take,
let's see how many questions we have on the floor.
We can take a few.
A few. Okay, we have, please, can the, okay, the chair of the CPC has had her hand up first. Mrs. Folashade Ali, she has a question.
I think if you stand up, mention who you'd answer your question. If not, if it's everybody, you just let us know. Thank you.
Mine is both. It's actually a contribution, but also there's a question at the end. I think, in a nutshell, the problem we have is attitude. And I mean attitude of both us at the bar and at the judiciary, my lord. So we at the bar, I think it can be done. We don't need money. It's really you at the judiciary that needs to actually ensure, and you should honestly penalize us if we have to. We have a role to play, but my lord, I believe that you can do better at the judiciary to ensure that the congestion stops. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mrs. Ali Leonard Silk. I had even actually looked at the points that Honorable Justice Augie had made, and you are quite right about the fact that before we even go into the e-filing, you know, the number of pages that we have to wade through, as you said in your briefs, and I'm sorry to say, there is a lot of, you know, bump in it. You know, we need narrowing of issues, going straight to the issues to assist us when we have to write our judgments. In the past, when I used to go with our principals in those days, we found out that, you know, you learned, even the judges learned. I remember judges thanking senior advocates for their briefs, because the briefs on the points, so that by the time they are adumbrating, the judge remembers all these things when you're writing your judgment. So it's something that we really want. I don't want to encroach into the next panel, because that is the discussion they will have. But that is what we really expect. We expect cooperation, and we expect, without that, you know, many of the judgments that you get may not be what you like. And also, I like what Justice Augie said. I'm one of those who is a advocate of advocacy, if I can put it like that. I do not like counsel coming to my court to say, oh, my lord, we just want to adopt our brief, because what you have written and what you mean may be very different from what I conceive you mean from your process. So just take that little time to, you know, to point out some of these things. It helps, you know. And then lastly, on the sanctions, I think a lot, the petitions we receive when we come down hard with these sanctions and things like that, or, you know, you enter judgment in default, or you throw people's cases out. We're inundated with petitions. And then what happens? The judge has to reply to the petitions, take time out to do that, and then even when exonerated, what happens to the lawyers? Who takes up the responsibility of the enforcement of any sanctions against the lawyer? The lawyer just goes happily to wait for the next opportunity to write a petition. So, my dear Leonard Silk, I think you're right that the cooperation is crucial between the main stakeholders, which is the bar and the bench. Thank you.
Thank you, my lord. We have time for only one more question.
We have a question from
a question, please.
No, Mrs. Akwa, go ahead. Okay.
Okay. Brief question, please. Very brief, straight to the point, and our panelists will also answer straight to the point. Thank you.
Good afternoon, or rather, good morning, everyone. My name is Udochi Ihanacho. My question, I think, goes to Justice Rahman Oshodi. Justice Rahman Oshodi, who is a judge that you know, I respect highly. He has established very, very quickly that, you know, he's serious. and his court is conducted along those lines. So there are things that have happened and an experience that I have had, which is the reason for my question. I want to know how I, as a practitioner, can access the bail information management system to
Thank you.
see, yes, as a practitioner, because I have a case where I am representing a victim, and it turns out that the accused person is in custody and files a bail application in the form of fundamental human rights. Now, that...
Sorry, I'll have to. It's getting...
Yes,
he's
yes.
heard the
So
question.
how do I access? Yes,
Yes,
very
we'll
well.
take all
Thank
questions. We'll take all the questions and then the answers all at once.
Thank you, ma'am.
So
I think we
just,
have two
Milord, please note the
questions.
question. Leonard Silk, your hand was up. That hand was up, and then we'll wrap up.
Mrs. Lola Kwagwe had her hand up.
Yes, please.
Yes. as
Ask
well.
your question briefly. Yes, I know. Her hand was up.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
My name is Omolola Ikwagu, and I just have a few questions. Some of them have
One.
handcuffed.
Singular or plural? Question,
Wow.
Your most important
please.
one.
We've run out of time. The most important one.
Yes, okay, now the most important one, the cost of virtual proceedings. I think that the courts already have email and internet set up. So I really do not agree that virtual proceedings have to be paid for. And in Lagos State, the directions provide that the virtual proceedings should be paid per session. Other courts also have virtual proceedings. These additional costs are not included. I think Lagos State should please take another look at that. Thank you.
That's directed at Justice Oshodi?
And
Well,
justice
yes,
and
okay.
justice, yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. Leonard Seal Kosaro, you have a question. Singular.
Thank you very much. I'd like us to take a collective approach to resolving many of the problems that you've identified. And that is the question as to who it is to administer justice effectively. And that's the NJC. And nobody's talked about the NJC. Who is policing the NJC? What happens in the NJC? Now, at the presidential election, the Court of Appeal held that virtual hearing was a policy issue. I don't agree with them, which means that the NJC ought to have looked into it and then given a directive. Nothing has happened. I will not go into many of the matters many of the things that happen at the NJC, but who polices the police is something I'd like you to consider.
Comment. Thank you very much. My Lord Justice Oshodi, it appears the questions are for you. Thank you.
Yes, on the bail information management system, we started it last year, and so we don't have shorties before that time. Then because the magistrate, about 162 magistrates also use those licenses. So we are trying to move from 21 to 100. Then we don't have to pay for it because we have to pay for the licenses. We have to pay in US dollars. So if we have to go back to those 2 licenses, it might not be effective. So I think, and also it's optional. The witness will either decide to travel from Abuja to Lagos or to wait in Abuja and take the proceedings. So it's optional, it's not compulsory.
Thank you very much,
But
ladies and
having said
gentlemen.
that, I'm so sorry, let me just interrupt. Having said that, I think the Honorable Chief Judge is looking into it because I think it has been mooted with him that, yes, so at the Criminal Justice Reform Sector Committee, where it was actually mooted and the bar bench forum that we had recently, he says he will look into it. But Justice Oshodi is right. You know, these are the services you want, and as they say, if you want good services, you need to pay for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for the panelists.
Thank you very much.
And we're through with this session. Thank you.
Could the panelists please sit down? We have a couple of plaques that we want to give out. But before we go, please, could Justice Amina Oge, please, could you come up to collect your plaque? We forgot to give you your plaque at the end of the keynote speak, so we'd like to give it to you now before you leave. Could Mr. Osaru Ehogbamien, SCN, please assist us with giving out the plaques? Thank you very much. Can I invite the chairman of the branch, Makonjola, as well as the chair of the CPC, Mrs. Folashade Ali, to please come up for pictures with our keynote speaker. Please over there.